Hey everybody, welcome back to Siah Sports. Today I want to talk about the Los Angeles Dodgers, whose hat I am currently rocking. And the reason why I want to talk about them is I want to talk about the baseball offseason as a whole. I'm going to take off the hat. But I want to talk about the offseason and how it's gone for the Dodgers. Now, it's kind of just been said up until this point that the Dodgers offseason has been terrible, which I am not going to say is wrong. Like, that's not a lie, per se, to say that the Dodgers have not necessarily had the greatest offseason. But to say they've had a bad one would also not be a lie. That's probably true. Why did the Dodgers have such a bad offseason? Well, I want to talk about that here. But also, I still want to make it clear before we move on that the Dodgers are still going to be contenders next year in 2023. Believe it or not. The Dodgers are probably, like, on the power rankings as of right now, it says they're the 7th best team in the league. Personally, I don't think that's true. I think the Dodgers are more like 4th or 5th because we were far and beyond 1st in the power rankings last year. And we lost a couple of bad pieces, and we're getting back some old faces like Walker Buehler, Blake Trinan, Max Muncy. He wasn't hurt, but still, he kind of was missing for a couple months. And I want to focus on specifically what we lost, because what we gained was good, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but I want to focus on what we lost. So, first of all, the biggest thing that we've lost up until this point has 100% been Trey Turner. Now, was Trey Turner super important to this team? Yeah, kinda. I don't really think you have the 2022 Los Angeles Dodgers winning 111 games without Trey Turner. Was he necessarily the best player on the team? No. Was he the best hitter on the team? No. He was maybe like 4th or 5th best hitter, which is great, because it means like that losing him was less than if you were to lose someone like Freddie Freeman or Mookie Betts, for example. But at the same time, you kind of need that guy. You know, you need the guy who can get Mookie from 1st to 2nd, who can bring up Freddie, who can just knock them both in, right? And Trey Turner was that guy all of last season. He had an above 800 OPS. He did fantastic. He stole bases. He got RBIs. He was like 2nd in the league in hits. Fantastic season. And we lost him for nothing, unfortunately so. Now, does that mean that we are regretting the Max Scherzer Trey Turner trade from a year and a half ago? No. That's still one of the greatest trades that we've probably ever made, because it gave us a year of Trey Turner, gave us a few months of Max Scherzer. It was fantastic, and I'm glad that they've both moved on to greener pastures, I guess, for them in their own regards. Max Scherzer with the Mets and Trey Turner with the Phillies. Now, we were not going to give Trey Turner 11 years, $300 million. That was not in the cards at all. And I'll explain why in a second. But 100% we weren't going to give Trey Turner that much money. And I feel like he wasn't going to stay for that much money either. Personally, my dad and I talked about it. And he said something that really clicked with me. My father said that with Mookie and Freddie and everyone else, you can tell that they take a lot of pride in being a Los Angeles Dodger. That's really what made Freddie stick with us last year. Even after we went back to Atlanta and he cried, you saw the rest of the season that he wore Los Angeles with pride on his shirt. And that was really important to him. But Trey Turner, you never really had that. You never had the idea of, does he want to be here? Does he not want to be here? You don't know. And with everyone else, it's clear, like, they want to be here. And with Trey, we never got that. So giving him up wasn't as big of a loss as we assumed, especially considering that on the defensive end, he was like just okay. Now, if we had been able to find a good shortstop to replace him, then that would have been fine. But as of right now, it looks like our starting shortstop is probably going to be Gavin Lux, who is terrible at shortstop. I don't know if you saw him in a couple games last year and the year before, he is terrible at shortstop. He's pretty not that great at second base either. But you got to do what you got to do, I guess. So that's Trey Turner gone. And I think this means most with Trey Turner. The reason why we didn't pay him is because we are trying to get under the luxury tax so that it resets, so that next year we can go all in on Shohei Ohtani and a couple other guys and make sure that we aren't paying freaking $500 million in luxury tax. Well, now I want to focus on the rest of the players that we lost in no particular order. Cody Bellinger, Justin Turner, Joey Gallo, Hanser Alberto, Tyler Anderson, Andrew Heaney, Chris Martin, David Price, and I believe that's it. I might be missing someone. If I am, I'll put it like right here on the screen right there. That's a lot of players to just up and leave. Now, David Price did retire. Tyler Anderson, understandably, he went to the Angels, where he's probably going to put up an ERA of 5 next year. Let's be real. Chris Martin, he got his bag. Andrew Heaney, he got his bag. Well, I mean, they didn't necessarily get bags, but they got money that we weren't willing to match. Cody Bellinger, we non-tendered him because he is terrible. Joey Gallo, we weren't going to bring him back because he sucks too. And then Hanser Alberto, we declined his team option because he really didn't do anything other than be like a cheerleader. So what's the point in that? We lost Craig Kimbrell too. I forgot about that. He was not good for us last year, so probably a good idea that we just aren't bringing him back. And then that brings us to the one that stings the most, Justin Turner. Now, Turner has been one of the longest tenured Dodgers for a while, and he means a lot to the franchise. So for the Dodgers to just up and leave him is really saying something, you know? Now, Turner was horrible at the beginning of last season, up until June, where he suddenly became Jesus for a while and was hitting better than anyone on the team. Pretty much going up until the end. But he was so bad in the beginning that he ended up with an OPS around 800, which is still fantastic. But JT was owed $16 million this season with a team option. And we declined that team option in order to re-sign him potentially at something cheaper. And it just wasn't getting done. And so the Dodgers kind of gave up on him, which is sad. But at the same time, I understand the idea, which is we want to contend, so we're going to bring in guys who we think can help us win now. Loyalties be damned, I guess. It's a sad idea. It's a sad thing to think about, but it's true. Loyalties be damned, and we kind of have no choice. Now, what's crazy is that I don't think the Dodgers re-signed like one dude. We re-signed just Clayton Kershaw, and that's it. Of all of our free agents going into this season, I could have sworn that we were going to re-sign at least 2 of them. I thought Turner's getting a bag. Not Trey, but Justin. Not a bag, but Justin Turner is coming back. Clayton Kershaw's coming back. I thought Tyler Anderson was going to come back just because he had had such a turnaround season coming into here. But that didn't end up happening. We re-signed Kershaw for I think 1 year, $20 million or $18 million, something like that. And that's fantastic, great move. But it was a given. So it's surprising up until now, because it shows that what are the Dodgers doing? What's the plan here? Are we really going to fill out our holes with just bringing back Clayton Kershaw and calling it a day? I feel like we need another starter, possibly. But then you get into our signings. Now, who do we sign? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we opened up with the best signing of the offseason, Shelby Miller, for 1 year, $1.5 million. Now, you might be asking, who is Shelby Miller? I don't know. Now, normally, I can tell you who players are. I know who players are for the most part, I think. I think if you were to just tell me a name, there's a 50-50 shot I can tell you what team he's on. And considering that there are well over 500 players in the league, I feel like that's pretty impressive. But Shelby Miller, who is that? He came from the Giants, apparently, which is even crazier to me, because we faced the Giants damn near 20 times last year, and not only did I not see him, I didn't even remember his name. I have no idea who he is. I saw his stats. Yuck. So we open up the offseason like day one. Like this was our first. We didn't even sign Kershaw yet. With that guy. What? We had Chris Martin just sitting there. We had Andrew Heaney, Tyler Anderson just sitting there. But no, we want to give money to that guy. Because that guy's a winner. And then we had a fantastic signing. Let me tell you. We all thought, oh, what's that? Justin Turner is in deep talks with teams such as the Los Angeles Dodgers, obviously, and the Boston Red Sox? What? Well, we're definitely going to re-sign it. Why would he go to Boston? Headline, Dodgers sign JD Martinez, 1 year, $10 million. Wait, what does that mean about Justin Turner? The very next day, the headline, Red Sox sign Justin Turner. We just basically traded Justin Turner for JD Martinez. Now, is that a good move? I'm not going to tell you whether it is or it isn't. I frankly don't know. But at least JT knows how to play some defense. Have you ever seen JD Martinez play left field? It's bad. I'll tell you that. It's like you could put a puppy out there and he'd probably be doing a better job. Now, JD Martinez is probably a better hitter than Justin Turner is. And since JT has kind of preoccupied the DH position all of last year, I assume that's what the plan is. And 1 year, $10 million is really cheap for a hitter who can possibly average an 800 OPS. That's a fantastic signing on its own. But why 1 year? Shelby Miller also got 1 year. Huh, that's odd. Okay. Well, what's the next big signing? Oh, you're never going to believe it. A huge signing coming up. Noah Syndergaard. Thor. The Angels signed him last year. And how'd he do with them? Bad? Yeah, probably. We re-signed him for 1 year, $13 million. Okay, what the hell is it with the Dodgers signing people to 1 year? I don't think we've signed anyone to a multi-year contract so far this offseason, or, frankly, last offseason, with the exception of Freddie Freeman. Tell me one dude who has been on the Dodgers, new, outside of Freddie Freeman, who was signed to a multi-year deal, who wasn't already on the team. I, frankly, can't really think of one, unless he was traded for. I don't know. And it's crazy to me how we're just focusing so much on, oh, let's get 1 year guys with low average annual value. Because why do that if you're not committing to anybody? The fan base loved Tyler Anderson, but because you guys refused to sign him to multi-years, he was kind of just here and then not here. Andrew Heaney, same thing. I mean, the fan base didn't fall in love with him like they did Anderson, but he's still a likable guy. And then just the inability to sign people to multi-year deals. I feel like the JD Martinez signing is going to be fantastic, but next offseason, it's going to feel not great, because you're going to have a pretty good year of JD Martinez, and then he's just going to up and leave, and you're going to have nobody. Now, if the plan is to get Shohei Ohtani after that, then that makes sense. Hell, that makes the Noah Syndergaard signing make sense too, because Shohei Ohtani can play both DH and starting pitcher. But how certain are we that he's even going to sign with us? I don't know. Because guess who else is a free agent after this offseason? Julio Urias. Okay? And I feel like if there's anyone who's a top priority, it's that guy. And after this year, re-signing one dude, my hopes aren't really looking high for that. Now, I could be proven wrong. Hopefully I am. But at the same time, I'm not getting my hopes up. Now, with everyone that's left, the Dodgers have a few questions that they must answer to themselves. Number one, who is going to fill out our infield? Well, you'd think that'd be an easy question, right? Put Muncy at third base, Okay. Muncy made it clear last year that he cannot play second. Put Freddie at first base. Obviously. That's locked up for the next couple of years. So who plays second? Well, Chris Taylor? Okay. But then, who plays left field? Can't be Chris Taylor, because Chris Taylor needs to play left field. And also, Chris Taylor had a freaking terrible year last year. I really don't want his ass out there every day. Well, you split his time, I guess. So who else could play second base? Well, Gavin Lux can. See, the thing about Justin Turner that made him great is that he could play third base, which means you could put Muncy at second base. I know, I just said that Muncy really can't play second base because he made a couple errors that cost us a couple games last year, but he's at least competent, I guess, for the most part. So you didn't really have this question. Now, you might be thinking, why is this such a big deal? Just put Gavin Lux at second base and keep Chris Taylor at left field. Sounds fantastic. But wait. Shortstop. Oh, no. We don't have a shortstop. Don't worry, guys. Just put Gavin Lux at shortstop, put Max Muncy at second base, put Miguel Vargas at third base. Yeah, it's a fucking terrible idea. I'll tell you that. Number one, why it's a terrible idea. Gavin Lux can't play shortstop. Number two, that's a bad idea. Max Muncy is much better suited for third base than second. And number three, frankly, the one that I think is most important, I don't trust Miguel Vargas enough to play an everyday role on this team yet. Now, that might be me just being cynical, but after how he was last year, I don't trust him with that. He's a great bench player. I think he'd be a fantastic bench player on this team. But that's about it. But then, you go back to left field. You can put Chris Taylor in left field. Frankly, you can put Chris Taylor anywhere, so he can solve at least one of your issues. But he's shown that he's not the hitter that we really thought he was. Frankly, I thought Chris Taylor was overrated for a while. He doesn't really average over an 800 OPS, which I feel like should be the benchmark of good players who should be getting the bag. You know what I mean? At least you can get close to that. Okay, so let's put Chris Taylor in left field. Bloop. Mookie's in right. Bloop. Will Smith is catcher. Bloop. So who's center field? Trace Thompson. He did fantastic last year, but I don't know if the Dodgers trust him enough for that. James Outman. He was here for like 10 games last year, and he did incredible in those games. But, really? I don't know. Now, if it was me, I would split the time equally between Trace Thompson and James Outman and just see what happens, at least for the first bit. But I feel like the Dodgers aren't willing to do that. Frankly, I don't think they're willing to give James Outman the chance that he deserves. And that's really sad. That hurts my feelings. But, come on. You kind of have to. I don't think you have a choice. Especially if you're not re-signing nobody. You don't have a choice. Frankly. You don't have a choice at all. And especially since you already have the shortstop problem. Because second base can be filled by multiple guys. You have the shortstop problem. And you have a center field problem. You can only really have one problem without making any major signings. If you have a problem in one position, you can fill that up with bench players and just kind of call it. But in multiple positions, it's a problem. A real problem that needs a real solution. And frankly, I haven't seen any push from the Dodgers to make that solution. I get it. Save money where you can save money. But at the same time, saving money at the expense of actual depth is a problem. And our starting rotation is still really good. Our bullpen is still really good. Frankly, it has gotten worse. But, you know, Shelby Miller is here to save the day, I guess. But, I don't know. If I were to give the Dodgers a ranking for how their offseason has gone, I'd say a D+. We've had 2 good signings, but both of them are going to be very non-consequential in the long run because they're only going to be 1 year, and they're going to be done after this 1 year. Because if we sign Shohei Ohtani, then basically he just fills those 2 gaps, which sounds great, but if we can't sign Shohei Ohtani, then we're fucked. That's basically it. So, I think putting all your eggs into literally one basket, and if the basket just so happens to have a hole in it, you're fucked, is terrible for an organization. Either we're winning in 2024 or we are not gonna be doing shit. And putting yourself into that position a year out is a problem. So the Dodgers had a terrible offseason. I don't like it. It makes me upset. But we're still going to win 100 games. That's the craziest thing. We can lose so many pieces. We can get nothing in return. And we're still going to win 100 games. Frankly, even if we don't get Shohei Ohtani next year, we probably still win 90 games. At least. Because that's who the Los Angeles Dodgers are. And that's what this team and this organization and the city are all about. Winning. And yes, I know we choke in the playoffs. Haha. But I bleed blue. And I think that you're going to as well. 2023, I think we're going to do incredible things. Thank you for watching. You have a good rest of your day.